It's time for Manna. The Manna solves the mystery. We are the God Culture, a group of independent researchers with no affiliation to any denomination nor organization whatsoever. We read the Word and we test it as 1 Thessalonians 5:21 tells us, "Prove all things, hold fast that which is good." And man, it is good to be in His presence in all things. When did the day start for the Israelites? You will see at sunrise, not sunset, on the lunar calendar. We will now break this down. And once again, this is no mystery because the story of the manna resolves this matter, and it is not up for debate. Again, remember the book of Jubilees sets forth, along with Enoch and the Dead Sea Scroll writings, so there's a lot there. The biblical calendar is 364 days, 12 30-day months for 360 days, plus one extra day added to the end of each quarter, 364 days total. In following that calendar, we are warned some will make observations of the moon and attempt to insert it as the measure for the day, Sabbath, week, month, year, and Jubilees, 50 years. However, that disrupts Yahuwah's calendar. We're warned. The new moons come in 10 days too soon, and studying the moon cycles even, we find it disrupts the 7-day weekly Sabbath cycle 22 of 52 times, in fact, this year in 2020. That's not a little. Now, let's see how the story for that of manna from heaven addresses this and really settles this for good, because this is so crystal clear. Exodus 16. Then said Yahuwah, we will use his actual name written in the original Hebrew, Yahuwah. Watch the Name of God series if you're not familiar with how we arrive at that. But we will not change the KJV on the screen. We just don't feel comfortable doing that. It says what it says, even though the Lord is not an accurate translation or transliteration or whatever they want to call it. It has no place being there, replacing his actual name. Unto Moses. So then said Yahuwah unto Moses, behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they will walk in my law or no, not. The manna would rain from heaven daily, except you will see on the Sabbath. Again, you can't read this and then say, oh, well, no, but then it says on the Sabbath it doesn't, and this says it does every day, so I'll see the Bible disagrees with itself. Don't do that. You cannot do that. That's called fraud. The funny thing is, Yahuwah is testing his people as to his law, yet this is before Mount Sinai, and before he gave the law even, and they're already keeping the Sabbath. Ooh, what? How could this be? Well, because Yah's laws are far more ancient than Mount Sinai, always have been. They have been since creation, and he changes not. Sure, we may define a law as new, but all of them are based on the old ones. All covenants are as well are based in principle on the older covenants of Scripture, because he doesn't change. Even Yahusha is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And remember, he was at creation, thus creation is yesterday. And it shall come to pass that on the 6th day, see, here we go, they shall prepare that which they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. So gather twice as much on the 6th day. And Moses and Aaron said unto all the children of Israel, at evening, the night, then ye shall know that Yahuwah hath brought you out from the land of Egypt. So he's proving himself here. So Yahuwah is keeping the Sabbath, and so are the Israelites even before he gave his law at Sinai. No manna on the Sabbath, though, but gather twice as much on Friday, on the 6th day, and he will preserve it for you on Saturday, though it doesn't preserve. It doesn't work, except for that one day. This story is all about establishing his timeline, in fact, when you see it. Check this out. And Moses said, "This shall be when Yahuwah shall give you in the evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full." So manna in the morning, flesh at night, we'll see in a minute, is quail. "For that Yahuwah heareth your murmurings, which ye murmur against him." And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against Yahuwah. Hello, trolls. You are not murmuring against us. Get that? Oh, that's right. You don't actually watch the videos. You just speak anyway in nonsense. Okay, now some see this and say, see, the day begins in the evening, because he mentions the evening first. Wrong. Yeah, evening and morning. Yeah, it's there. It's also in the creation account. We'll deal with that too. But that's wrong. You don't all of a sudden do that and then pull that out as if that is the definition of a day. It's not. This is not laying out the day and cannot disagree with the rest of the passage. We've already covered too much to go back there. Now, you do eat at night, right? I mean, I do. I like to eat at night. And also in the morning, indeed. So there is nothing else to take away from this. You have a meal in the morning, you have a meal at night. Or you have a meal at night, you have a meal in the morning. It doesn't matter which order it's in, because it's not defining the day. No, I'll get there. And Moses spake unto Aaron, say unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, Come near before Yahuwah, for he hath heard your murmurings. And it came to pass, as Aaron spoke unto the whole congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness and beheld the glory of Yahuwah appeared in a cloud. Wow! Can you imagine? And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel. Speak unto them, saying, At evening you shall eat flesh, and in the morning ye shall be filled with bread, manna, quail, manna. And ye shall know that I am Yahuwah your God. Again, you will eat in the evening and in the morning. That's what he's saying. He's appearing during the day, so he's saying you'll eat tonight, you'll eat tomorrow morning. That's actually accurate timeline. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not defining the beginning of the day. No. You'll see he does that very soon in this passage in incredibly plain language that really cannot be confused. Not sure how it ever has been once we read this and really understand it. Of course, it takes looking at things in this mindset, and we've been taught not to. So it's good that we're going through this. Quail is in the evening meal. But the manna comes in the morning at sunrise. Oh, that is the key, and you'll see why. Essentially. Now, in fact, they must gather before the sun waxes hot in the latter morning even. So it's definitely the early morning at sunrise, essentially, and the wee hours just after. Ever wonder what the Israelites ate? The Bible tells us. In fact, it's going to define right now what manna is and what it comes as. And it came to pass that at evening, the quails came up and covered the camp. So that's quail. So we know that quail came. And in the morning, the dew lay round about the host. And when the dew that lay was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness there lay a small round thing. When does the dew go up? After sunrise. Ooh, in fact, about sunrise, essentially. Okay, so lay a small round thing, as small as the hoarfrost on the ground. So these are little teeny tiny pellets. So quails in the evening, but they are listed first here. Is that a problem? No. Not even remotely, you'll see. Yahuwah is speaking to Moses in the daytime and began with the evening meal, of course, because that's what was coming next. Not difficult. He hasn't defined the day yet, but he's about to. Don't worry. What is manna? It's not actually bread. It's used to make bread. You take these pellets, put them together. They're small round pellets, sort of kind of like the cover that we showed you, which, by the way, that cover is little wheat pellets. That's what they are. So similar, but they're not wheat, and it would just say wheat. There's a Hebrew word for wheat. It would say wheat if it was wheat. It's not wheat. It's something different. But it's used together. You compact it together and you make bread. It's the color of bdellium. Now we know that from Numbers as well. And bdellium is what? Pearl. It's a pearly white color. Now we deal with that in Solomon's Gold series, so you have to watch that there. So as the dew drops in the early morning, it brings manna pellets within. Wow. And when the children of Israel saw it, they said one to another, "It is manna," for they wist not what it was. They didn't know what it was. That's what that's saying. And Moses said unto them, "This is the bread which Yahuwah hath given you to eat. This is the thing which Yahuwah hath commanded." Is it African resin? Is that what bdellium is? Absolute nonsense. Biblical spices are well recorded in Hebrew, and there is no such biblical spice called bdellium. That is fraud and a lie, just so you know. But anyway, bdellium is pearl. But again, that's another video. "Gather of it every man according to his eating," so according to his household, the number of people in his household, "an omer for every man." So how many people are in the households? "According to the number of your persons. Take ye every man for them which are in his tents," so your household. Imagine the precision required for Yahuwah to know that and operate so, because households are different and that would be so hard, yet he knows the number of every hair on your head. And the children of Israel did so and gathered some more, some less. And when they did meet it with an omer, some measure, meter, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. And Moses said, "Let no man leave of it till the morning." Why? Well, the new manna would rain the next morning, right? That's when it would come down, except for the Sabbath, which is a different rule. So you were not to leave it till the morning. "Notwithstanding, they hearkened not," imagine that, "unto Moses." They are a stiff-necked people indeed. Of course, they didn't listen. And by the way, we don't either many times, so none of us can look at them as if they're different from us somehow. We are the same. Mankind is the same. We are a stiff-necked people indeed. "But some of them left of it until the morning." What happened? It bred worms and stank. And Moses was wroth, angry with them. And they gathered it every morning. Wait a minute, but not on the Sabbath, right? So it says every morning, but it's wrong. See, the Bible's wrong. That's actually the rationale they use. What nonsense. Forget that. "Every man according to his eating. And when the sun waxes hot," later that morning, "it melted." All right, so they had to gather it from sunrise. This is really nailing down the time, guys. I mean, it's right there. Now, the way some read the Bible in error, they read this where it says they gathered it every morning, and, they didn't gather it on the Sabbath. I talked about that. But they apply the same in this attempted debate where they say the Passover sacrifice is consumed and burned at sunrise. And yet, then the passage says you eat it the next day, which clearly it cannot say because it's already consumed and there's nothing left to eat. You just use a little common sense when you read the Bible. That's all it takes many times. They do the same with the creation account. and it was evening, it was morning. But then they miss the whole rest of the day, because that is after he created. Then it was evening, then it was morning. So he created during the day. Now, this is how we lose the Sabbath. It's called Pharisee leaven. And it too is full of stank. And it came to pass that on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, just as they were told, 2 omers for 1 man. It was 1 previously. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses, and he said unto them, This is that which Yahuwah hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto Yahuwah. So the Sabbath rest is tomorrow. Wait, they just gathered in the morning. And when is Sabbath? Tomorrow. Does Moses say no quail tonight? Oops, no, he doesn't. He says no manna tomorrow. When does the manna fall? In the morning at sunrise. When does the Sabbath begin? Tomorrow. When does tomorrow begin? The morning at sunrise. It's right there. And it will be again and again, you'll see. Bake that which ye will bake today. Remember, there's no cooking on the Sabbath, so that is consistent. And they're keeping the Sabbath before Sinai. Ooh. So you're baking today for tomorrow, because you're not allowed to cook on the Sabbath. Because tomorrow morning begins the Sabbath. It's there again. And see that which you will seethe. You will seethe. And that which remaineth over, lay up for you to be kept until the morning. Now you just baked, because remember, you have to bake everything you're baking today on the day before Sabbath. You're not allowed to bake, you're not allowed to cook on the Sabbath. So you save the second portion, the second half, because remember you took 2 portions, 2 omers. So you save that for tomorrow. And Yahuwah will keep it from worms and spoiling. Wow, this is amazing. And they laid it up till the morning, as Moses bade. And it did not stink, neither was there any worm therein. Yahuwah preserved it. And Moses said, Eat that today. Wait a minute. It's now tomorrow. And Moses says, Eat it today. When do you eat manna for breakfast? In the morning. We're in the morning and it's tomorrow. Moses now calls it today. Eat it today. For today is a Sabbath unto Yahuwah. Today ye shall not find it in the field. Thus, really nailing this down. We're about the time of sunrise here. The manna comes in the morning about sunrise. That is well established. Yesterday we were told to gather twice as much and bake it all, so we don't violate the Sabbath, baking on the Sabbath. Save the other half for today, because it is the Sabbath. And what time of day are we in when Sabbath begins? Boom. If Moses is saying today you will not find it in the field, and manna comes in the morning before the sun waxes too hot, then today begins in the morning at sunrise. This is so clear. You are to eat it today, and it is morning today. Sabbath is today in the morning. That is when it starts. Let's go over to Numbers, which takes this and wraps it in a bow for us. Look at this progression. It is crystal. Numbers 11:32. And the people stood up all that day and all that night and all the next day. And they gathered the quails, which they do when? At night, in the evening. So continuing the progression as night, day, night, day, night. Day, night today, day, night tomorrow. All that day and all that night, and then all the next day and all the next night when the quails come. Can these really be misunderstood? He that gathered least gathered 10 omers, and they spread them all abroad for themselves round about the camp. Now let's finish this out. The manna miracle occurred for the 40 years in the wilderness. Imagine growing up in that, and your shoes even growing with you as you grow. Wow. However, let's go to Joshua, where we now find the manna will be stopped once they enter the promised land. Oh, it concurs with the same timeline, also for Passover even. We'll see. And the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal, and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at even, in the evening, in the plains of Jericho. Again, Passover, evening event, just the evening, that's it. And they did eat of the old corn of the land, so the corn that was left over in the land. Cool, they finally eat a different diet. They must be excited. On the tomorrow, after the Passover, which is Sabbath, meaning they prepared it the day before. Now, it's not the weekly Sabbath necessarily. It is the feast Sabbath. But no, nevertheless, it's a Sabbath, so you don't cook, you don't prepare on the Sabbath. But they also had manna one last time, which means they had a double portion that rained that day before. So here's what they bake. Unleavened cakes, it's unleavened bread, so they should be, and parched corn, so they mix the corn into the bread. How in the world did they make that? Doesn't say that they harvested wheat or anything else, right? Well, they did it because they still got manna the day before, a double portion, so they had a portion. Okay, and they would have baked it the day before as well. They would have had to. So, but they ate it in the same day, the day after Passover, which was on a Sabbath. That's what they ate. So they still had manna, but this time they had manna with corn. Cool. Let's continue. And the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land. Neither had the children of Israel manna any more. No more manna. But they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. So the harvest of the land from then on. So they now had fruit from the land of Canaan, which would become known as Israel, of course. The manna ceased, but when does manna come? Think about it. Only in the morning at sunrise. This is setting the same clock. What is that called in this passage twice? Tomorrow, because it begins a new day. The Sabbath began at sunrise, and now this day is the day after. So basically, what we're looking at is the manna rained down on the 14th. It was a double portion, which lasted to the 15th, okay, because it was a double portion, which is a Sabbath beginning at sunrise. As of the morning of the next day, now the 16th, there was no more manna to be found. And that was after sunrise, meaning it was a new day. The day begins at sunrise according to Scripture, much of it. We covered the New Testament, especially the death and resurrection of Messiah, including the Passover, even put it on a timeline, and it proves out. We read Moses' accounts of that same period, which concurs. The day begins at sunrise and Sabbath on Saturday at sunrise. Now we see this account, also from Moses, of the manna resolves the mystery for good, as sunrise begins a new day period, and it also affirms the other 3 videos regarding the Passover as well. So really entrenched here, guys. Scripture is brilliant, and on this very abundant. One must wonder how this ever could have gotten messed up in the first place. But no matter. Let's not beat ourselves up. This isn't about condemnation. Let's just fix it from here on. Next, we'll explore some other Old Testament passages because we want to bring this home completely so it's firmed up and not debatable. These will affirm from Gideon especially the judges and others. We won't go through the whole entire Old Testament. It will be a short video, but we'll cover some more to really entrench this. Then we'll go back to the creation account, which affirms this as well. Yes, it does. After that, we will deal with the New Moon translation, which is inaccurate. And at that point, there will be little left to discuss in any debate on this topic as to when the day begins and when the Sabbath begins. The Sabbath and the day begins at sunrise, never sunset on the pagan Babylonian calendar, which is what that is. May we all restore His ways and His truth in every way. Thank you for watching our Sabbath series. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the bell. Every video we have now, over 250 are available for you to test. Links as the top pin in comments and also in the description box for you. Many available in English and Tagalog. Don't forget, like us on Facebook at The God Culture _space original. We only have that one Facebook and we only have this one YouTube channel. That's it as of now. Share this video with others and check out our website at thegodculture.com. Always remember to prove all things for yourself. We love you all. Yahuwah bless and Shabbat Shalom or Sabbath peace if you are watching this on Sabbath. Stay safe and Yah bless to all.